And I was going to give you 100%.
I know. I would have got 100% if I did it. Yeah, I just completely
All right.
stuffed up.
Let's have a word of prayer. And we'll start now.
Okay.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to be here tonight and to continue in this study involving geography and customs. May it be a blessing to everyone here. In Christ's name we ask, amen. All right, people. Now we've got a big section tonight. I mightn't finish, but see how we go anyway. We're looking at the land of Palestine, and some of this is going to be a review of what we've done before, just to reinforce things we've learnt. So, but then something's going to be new also. Okay, first off, we're looking at the basic geography of Palestine. Now, the borders, very, very simply, from the western border is the Mediterranean Sea. The Jordan River, that was the border for Palestine. You find the north was up over here. They were just below the Leontes River, which was Lebanon Mountains. And the south was down the Geb Desert, which is just about over here. Let's see now. There's Kadesh Barnea over there. That's roughly the southern border. That's roughly the southern border was. The border of Palestine after conquest, you find it's still the same over here, but we find we've extended up north far more, and they come down over here to the right-hand side for the eastern side of the kingdom of Og, then down also over here next to Ammon, down to Moab, and you find from this point, the top of the Dead Sea, to the river over here, Arnon River, that belonged to Reuben. From this river up to over here, we find that belonged to Gad, and that was the half-tribe of Manasseh over there. So where you find the dotted lines, that's basically the border of Canaan after Palestine, after they had the conquest. There'll be more details of that later, okay? Now, natural divisions. If you look at the back over here, I've photocopied some things for you to look out. Now, the first map, physical map of Palestine, you notice the dark green area, that's your mountainous areas, and you can see it very, very plainly over there. And you have the mountains running right through Palestine, east of the Jordan River and west of the Jordan River. It's a very mountainous area. It's got valleys, so it's got valleys, it's got mountains, it's got everything you need over there to give you a complete, perfect rainfall each year. So it's a very, very diverse nation. You turn to the back picture, like I have over here, you see a much better view of the valley of the Dead Sea, how low it is. And it's like a great big massive valley in the centre of the Palestine, up there from Sea of Galilee going all the way down, and to Dead Sea, which is 400 metres below sea level. It's it's just phenomenal the way when you actually see it, because there's mountains everywhere, not just flat. That's mountainous area. There's plains over there. There's your different valleys and all the rest of stuff. So this is the area of Palestine, and it's just good to know what people they had to go through in their journeyings when Christ went through, when the Apostle Peter went through, and everyone else who went through ministering, the different obstacles that they overcome. Natural position. We've got over here the coastal plain. Now, if you notice the very back picture, the coastal plain refers to over here, which is the land of the Philistines. The Philistines are down the bottom over here. Then you have over here the plain of Sharon, up north over here. Then you have the Shephelah, which is another plain down this area over here. So these different plains right throughout the land of Israel. Valley of Jezreel is very important. Up here at Mount Carmel, goes across there from west to east. And that valley of Jezreel is also the place we call Megiddo, which is the place where war is going to happen like anything. The Battle of Armageddon over there. It's going to be the area where most blood has been shed on planet Earth. That's the valley of Megiddo over there. Pass that back, would you? As mentioned, the Shephelah is an area over here just outside of Judah. The first map shows you where it is. It's parallel with the Dead Sea and an area of Judah. Next page, we come along and there's the Central Range. Now, central, okay, it's central Palestine. It's over here in the very, very middle. That's the central range over there. And on the western side of the Jordan River. And that central range is like a backbone to to Palestine over there. It comes down from the Lebanon, it's an extension from the Lebanon Mountains. So over here, the Lebanon Mountains, the anti-Lebanon Mountains over there. Extension of it comes down over here to the central range in Palestine. It's made up of very many mountain ranges over there. You have mountains of Galilee, Mount Meron. Now these places are on the maps. Turn to your map and you'll find them over there. You find Mount Meron over there, and you'll find hill country of Samaria, all the mountains of Judah. Not very high, 900 metres, 1,200 metres, not very, very, very high, but still in a land that's so very, very small, having from mountain to valley in a matter of kilometres. Not a massive, great big thing. So you can't have massive Mount Kosciuszko's and massive, that's not very big. What's over there in Nepal? Mount Fuji, that's a nice one. Mount Everest, yeah. No Mount Everest over there. Okay, so I was thinking Mount Kosciuszko is 3,000 feet, not metres. So it's a mistake back there. Negeb, this is the desert area down below over here. You find this part and down of Judah is very, very dry until the wet season comes along. Then a bit of grass growing, otherwise it's going to be dry completely. And this is the area that's around Hebron, south of Hebron. Summer months, very, very dry. Only when the winter rains come in, you get some type of growth. But when the winter rains come, there is growth. Heaps of growth, vegetation for those with herds and flocks to come on in. There's the wilderness of Judea, also called Jeshimon. That's over here, just on the western side of the Dead Sea. And this area over here is a place where the location for the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's that part there next to the Dead Sea. They found the scrolls over there. Wilderness of Judea. Then you have Jordan Valley, and you mentioned the pitch in the back from there to there, from the Sea of Galilee down over here to the Dead Sea. Absolutely deep. It's actually jungles. And then the Bible talks about lions and bears and stuff like that. That's where they live, down there. Not in Africa. That's where they live, over there, because they're in the jungles of the Jordan River Valley. And that extends for about 100 kilometres. Then you have the eastern range. That's the range east of the Jordan River. You have over here next to the river Yarmuk, up over here. Again, you find it's like another backbone over here coming through on the eastern side. You've got the Gilead covers the area from Yarmuk over here, all the way down to down to this point over here, just top of the Dead Sea. That's the land of Gilead that Gad occupied, and this part over here was what Reuben occupied. Bodies of water, we know there's Jordan River, plain. Now up over here is Lake Hula. This is above the Sea of Galilee, and that's just above that is the border of Israel. So Lake Hula, then the Jordan River comes down to the Sea of Galilee, flows down to the Dead Sea. Now these two rivers over here flow right through, but over here, Dead Sea, waters flow in, but nothing goes out, which we looked at before. Because waters come in, you think, well, where does it go? How come it doesn't fill up? Evaporation. It's because the hot air over there, it loses all its water that comes in through evaporation. Can you imagine the hundreds of millions of gallons of water that's evaporated? You think, can that happen? Well, our seas cover over 3/4 of the planet. And that's where we get all our fresh water from, evaporation from the seas. So evaporation, that's God's method of using the water cycle to give us fresh water in the form of clouds that come and fall on the ground. Now, because the Dead Sea has only has an inlet but no outlets, therefore the concentration of minerals that come with the water that flow down from the Jordan River and for the different rivers, the Arnon and the Zered River, they flow into it, they're going to intensify the chemical content to the point it's about 25% chemical in the water, and it's so dense that they say the water is buoyant. You can hop in there and you can't sink. You lay back, read a newspaper if you like on the water, you can't sink. And you don't want to have a cut on your body, or it's going to kill you like anything. You don't want to get in your eyes, otherwise you're going to suffer like anything, because it's simply very, very intense, very salty, but you float in it, that's all. You wouldn't want to dive in it, you'd bust your skull. It's that dense, okay? That's the Jordan River, the Dead Sea. There are streams that flow from the central mountains over here. They come across and they flow into the Mediterranean Sea. And there's a lot of streams from over here. They flow into the Jordan River, and a couple of rivers flow into the Dead Sea. So you have waters flowing from mountains to Mediterranean, from mountains to Jordan River, from over this side to the Jordan River also. West of the Jordan River, we have many listed mountains over here. There are, rivers. You have the Wadi Farah, the Wadi Kilt, the Wadi Qumran, the Kidron River, the Wadi Al-Nar, the Wadi Mabara'at, Wadi Sa'al, Wadi Al-Arish. These different wadis over here, because they're flowing from the mountains out toward the sea. They call them a wadi because they're only flowing during the wet season. The dry season, they're dried up. So you think about Israel, which is supposed to be part of the Fertile Crescent. It's fertile while the rainfalls are there. And when they're not there, it goes barren again. So while God's blessing the land, there's going to be rainfalls, a lot of rainfalls. When He's not blessing the land, they'll be in drought. It's just very, very simple. If there's no rain coming, they're finished. They have the early rains, then the latter rains. Without the early rains, the ground is too hard to plough. Because they don't have big machinery, they're simply wooden top of ploughs and everything, and iron ploughs pulled by oxen and that. And the ground's too hard when it's dry to plough. So they have to wait for the rains. When the early rains come, then they can start ploughing. And they want the latter rains to mature the crop. Without the latter rains, the crop is immature. And so an immature crop means you don't get much money off your crop. So they need the rains. And the rains are needed for those wadis to flow. So everything depended upon the rains. And God promised them rains if they trust in Him and will work with Him. If they don't, they'll miss out completely. The mountains west of the Jordan River, as mentioned, there's the Lebanon Mountains, anti-Lebanon Mountains up top over there. Mount Hermon up over here is the northern point of Israel's border. That's in the time of the conquest, not in the time of David. The time of David and Solomon, this went all the way up to the Euphrates River. That's where the border went to. Away from here, like over here, Phoenicia, which they never touched. They simply come up over here, then up towards the Euphrates River. Mount Meron, its highest peak, which is 1,200 metres. Horns of Hattin. Now, in the map over here, I checked him out, it's there. Okay, this map here, just behind the notes. You stop over there and have a look. You find you got Sea of Galilee, and Mount Meron is just north and west of that. Okay, the 3,963 feet. You come down a bit south, and you come down to Mount Tabor, which is the bottom side of the Sea of Galilee, and a little bit in. Just under that, the hill of Morah. Then you have over here, Valley of Jezreel, the most important valley in all of Israel. Valley of Jezreel. They have in the centre, about over here, you have Mount Gerizim, Mount Ebal. What are those mounts noted for? You know what they're noted for? Mount Gerizim, Mount Ebal.
The demoniac.
What was that?
Was it the demoniac? When it was in the cave going crazy?
No.
Was that the blessing?
Mount Ebal, Mount Gerizim.
Was it the Mount of Blessing and Mount of Cursing?
Exactly. God told Moses, when you cross over into Canaan, I want you to go to Mount Ebal and pronounce all the cursings that will fall upon them if they disobey God. And go to Mount Gerizim and pronounce all the blessings that they'll receive if they obey God. So these two mountains on the other side of Jordan they went to. You find also there's, let's see, down below, obviously we have Jerusalem and Mount Zion down over there. Mount Carmel is at this point over here, and right at the very, very point there, where you find the land comes down and comes up into like a little hook or something. That's where Mount Carmel is. Mount Nebo is just over here, which is on the eastern side of the Dead Sea. On top of that, they have Jabal Yusha, just over here. They name the mountains over different prominent people. And there Sheba is down the southern point of Israel's border. Ezion-Geber is on the top point of the Gulf of Aqaba, which is also the southern boundary of Edom. Edom belongs from the Jezreel River all the way down to the top of the Gulf of Aqaba, the land of Edom. Okay, what else is there? We have Mount Gilboa, and again that's up over this area over here, and that's where you find Saul was killed by the Philistines. Most of the battle of the Philistines occurred in this area over here, just round about there. That's most of the battle of the Philistines occurred over there. See, Gilboa, tunnel. Okay, Mount Hermon, got that already. Mount Nebo, okay, fine. With your plains, there's the coastal plain, which goes all the way up this way over here. There's the Philistine plain of the Philistines down over there. The Valley of Jezreel, which is the plain of Esdraelon, we mentioned that before. Negeb is way down south over here. And the plain of Jericho, up over here, around Jericho, which is the bottom part of the Jordan River, that's also very, very flat. Now, the Jordan River can be just a few kilometres to about 25 kilometres wide, the plain underneath it. So not massive areas, not massive like you have in Australia, just very, very narrow. Imagine you're trying to get 4 different seasons in one little block of ground, from mountains to valleys to rivers to deserts, everything under the sun. And it's just a very compact thing. It's like Lebanon. You can be down on the beach swimming away, then drive for an hour and a half, you're on the top of a mountain. Just 1.5 hours drive, you're on top of a mountain somewhere. And you find people back over there, they'll have their summer homes and their winter homes. Winter home down south into the sea, summer homes up in the mountain. You know, just a normal thing. And sometimes they'll buy one home down south and they'll hire a home up north. And they'll just say, we have two different addresses, and they're 3 months a year in the summer years up the mountain, the rest of the time they're down below. This is a normal thing. They have two dwelling places, because the weather can be so extreme, and the opportunity to reduce that by simply a change of address is so easy. Just so easy. So that's a very, very mountainous type of country with a lot of different variety of geography. They have the main highways. I mentioned there were 3 main highways. There was one along the coast, one in the middle, and one over here. This is the King's Highway over here. There's other 2 highways there, and also main roads in between. So this is the area of Palestine. Now, as I mentioned before, look at these maps and just familiarise yourself with them, because they give you more detail than what you've had in the black and white pictures before. And check all the different areas around there of Idumea, you've got Beersheba, just different places, and try and look at it. You've got Nazareth over there, and just different spots. The Leontes River, which is the northern point of Israel's border, just over here, Leontes River. Other ones clarify that a bit. The topographical map gives you a bit more clarity. And then the one on the very, very back gives you a far greater impression of the valleys, the mountains, the plains, and also the eastern desert. So all this part over here is desert. That's why you don't find people crossing over that way to go into Babylon and Assyria. They go up and around, because here, eastern desert. It's like having Sahara Desert right there. You don't travel through it. Now, obviously, some people can. You know, some people can, some people do that, but trade routes, that's not it. The trade routes go up and down, back again. So whenever there's a war on, you find the Syrians and the Babylonians come up this way over here, conquer as they go along, they turn around, they start coming down over here to conquer. Then they go into Egypt, then back again that way. Then they go up that way towards Europe. That's the normal way they went. So when you find the empires, the Roman empires and all the rest of the empires, that's basically the way they went. And they stretch into Europe more and more and more as they got all this land taken care of. But they can't go further till this is taken care of first. Because that's a fertile crescent, which means good lands and very rich. The spoils will be very, very great. So why go any further? Take those places first. Okay? Any questions at all?
Just the Dead Sea, just a question about the Dead Sea. So, was the Dead Sea
No, we think basically what it seems like, that this part over here was the Dead Sea before, that part over there was the cities of the plain dwelt in, and then what happened that when God brought down fire and brimstone from heaven, that he in such a way changed the geography of the land, where now the cities are now underwater, and this whole area over here became, let's say, well, we don't know if there was upheavals, we don't know what was done. There may have been an outlet to it, we don't know. But there may have been a passageway all the way down to here, we don't know. We don't know. But the whole idea is that after the change in geography, that we find that this place over here became dead. So now, when the millennium comes up, when Christ returns, the Bible says he's going to come back to Jerusalem. Mount Olive's going to split from north to south, or east to west, not too sure which way it's going to go. Then there's going to be water come over here to the Dead Sea. It's just going to heal the seas. It'll heal the Dead Sea, so it'll become alive with fishes and vegetation, all the rest of it. So whatever was before is going to become later. We don't know now what happened. We don't know if there's upheavals and everything. We don't know. But that's currently what you have with the Dead Sea. Now, it's full of minerals, which is money. You want to go in there and mine that stuff, that's money, big time money. So it's not a waste. It's like money that you have to spend to try and get. So at the right time, that's very, very, very valuable stuff. Very valuable. Yeah.
With the Dead Sea,
Louder, please.
with the Dead Sea, being able to see Mount Hermon,
Yeah.
Do you know how far or how close, you would be just way out in the distance, or is it, quite visible?
You're talking about Dead Sea or Mount Hermon? What are you talking about?
Being able to see Mount Hermon from the Dead Sea.
Not from the Dead Sea. You might see Dead Sea from Mount Hermon, not the other way around. Dead Sea, you're right down below. You can't see a sweet thing. You're looking up this way. There'd be too many things in front of your face. But on top of the mountain, like on top of Mount Nebo over here, God put Moses over there, so okay, have a look around all the land. So from there, he could see 100 kilometres over here and down this way over here, to the whole lot. Now, 100 kilometres on a clear day can be seen easily. When I was working on the Centre Point Tower, when it was being built, I was working on the third floor of the top Centre Point Tower. It was going to be a restaurant. They say on a clear day you can see Newcastle. Yeah, on a clear day you see Newcastle. Now, I never saw a clear day. All I saw was smog and fog and clouds. But on a clear day you see Newcastle, they say, because you're so high, you can see that far. Yeah. So Mount Nebo, that's where Moses was on, and he saw all the land that God was going to give Israel to inherit. So you can see it clearly, yeah. Anybody else? Yeah.
Also, with the Jordan River being about 1 to 4 metres deep and 25 to 55 metres wide, that would be not in flood, I suppose. When it goes in flood, what sort of dimensions are we looking at?
Look, that river mentioned also, even though it's only 100 k's from here to here, it was winding around, so about 350 k's in length. And it wasn't a phenomenal volume type river. Like rivers in Australia are just trickles compared to America. The Mississippi River in America holds more water than all the rivers in Australia. That one river in America. You go to South America, the Amazon over there, and that great big river over there, it's a fair income. That river, when it comes out of the ocean, about 200-mile mouth, and they say you can go out 100 kilometres, dip in the water and drink it, because it's fresh water from the mighty Amazon. Just powerful, and we didn't know rivers over here. I had a friend come from China. He says, "Yeah, you've got rivers over here. You've got streams. We have rivers, great big massive things." Well, Israel, they've got rivers like us. You go to Murrumbidgee River, you can see the other side. You can swim to the other side, no problem. So the same thing over there. Not a massive thing. Some of the valley was only about 2 kilometres wide. Now the smaller side, the bigger side, was about 20 kilometres wide. So it's a small scale. That's all it is. It's a small scale land, has everything on it that's needful, but on a small scale.
So it was always possible?
Huh?
Was it always possible? Like even in flood, would there be like fords and maybe bridges?
Look, any time there's floods, you find you can't cross over these things in flood waters. You have to try and find some place where it's suitable. You can't just cross any spot under the sun, you know. Like when Israel were going to cross over with Joshua, the river was under flood condition. Well, God opened it up, they went through. When they went through, back to flood condition again, which means they wouldn't go through it before with flood condition. You know, you might find some place the river is only about knee deep. Oh, of course, because a certain part there's a lot of water around and it's swerving around a whole lot and there's not much erosion over there, so it's not very, very deep. Other places, it moves quickly and it's very, very deep, say 4 metres deep. So it just depends on where you are. Because when it meanders for 350 kilometres in a 100 kilometre stretch, geography is a very wonderful thing. Get out there and have a look at it and you'll be surprised how God fashions his land and how things work out. It's surprising, honestly. It's not like man does. When man does something, it's all uniform. Not God. There's so much variety. There are rapids, there's calm, there's lakes over there, there's waterfalls, there's heaps of stuff over there. There's wide, there's narrows, and some are full of vegetation, some aren't. Some are full of life and fish, and some aren't. No, it's phenomenal what God has done. If man would only leave things alone the way God made them, he'd really appreciate this world much better. It'd work better too. Anybody else? All right, well, God bless you. Now, I put a lot of stuff in here, over here, more than what I present, for you to look over there and go through it yourself. And it's just as a resource for you. The maps I got from several different books, just so you can have an idea, and a picturesque idea of what the whole land looks like. Some people will go to Israel, but you don't get what you see here now. You go over there like a tourist. You see this, see there, here's a tree, here's a hill, that's nice, that's a tree, that's a hill, that's fine. You don't see the whole kit and caboodle from bird's eye view. You see bits and pieces. If you went to any part of the Middle East, you're looking at Israel. You go to Lebanon, you're seeing Israel. I mean, exact same geography, exact same air, exact same hill, exact same everything. Anti-Lebanons come from over there, go down south into Israel, exact same. The climate's the same, everything's the same, culture's the same, nothing different. When you cross over the border, all you're doing is you're going from Hebrew to Arabic. That's all you're doing. Everything else is the same, geography-wise. Okay? Thank you.